Series 3, Episode 3, How Do Others See You? And that is not an easy topic for some people. So today, instead of me pontificating and waxing poetic about leadership and how others see you, I'm going to actually talk about a few activities that you can do with yourself and your teams to try and get a pulse on how others see you. So if you have joined us live, please say hello in the comments. Don't be shy. Let us know that I can see you. Otherwise, I'm just going to dig right in. So last week, I talked about a leadership mindset and how if we aren't in a place where we can be genuine, authentic, vulnerable, that we are going to have trouble being leaders. But at the same time, we also need to get real about how we are showing up. How are we coming across to other people? And sometimes our best intentions are not perceived the way that we think they are. So, jumping right into some of the activities that you can do. One that I did with a coach many years ago for myself was an activity where there's a sheet of, I think, 100 descriptive words. And this was before things were so automated, so you could do this as a Google form or some other survey tool. And what you do with it is you give it out to 10 people. And ideally, they are a mix of people in your personal and your professional life. And you ask those 10 people to circle 10 words that they feel describe you the best. So essentially you could have 100 different words, 10 times 10. But often what happens is there's duplication. And you can imagine the duplication is often between people from your personal life picking similar or the same words and people from your professional life picking similar or the same words. But the idea is you have them pick 10 words that best describe you. And then you have those sent not back to you, but to an anonymous source, if you will. So maybe you send them to me as your coach. And then I compile that list, remove the duplicates, so that when you're finished, you have a list of the discrete words in the list. And what I have done with that for people in the past, when it's not been a huge group of people that I'm working with, either on one-to-one coaching or group coaching, is I have then taken those and made them into word art. So for those of you that have used word art, the words get bigger in the word art the more times they are used. So let's say the word respectful was used to describe you 8 times. That's going to be a lot bigger than maybe if somebody just used insightful 1 time. So that's one activity that you can do. And it's super simple because there are lots of sources on the internet of these lists of descriptive words. And it's a really low-tech activity that you can do. Another activity that is a bit more complex and may require facilitation is using something called the Johari window, or some people call it the Johari window. And the reason for that is it was named after the 2 guys who created it in the 50s, Joseph Luft and Harry Ingram. So Johari or Johari. And the way this works, they call it the Johari window, or it's a quadrant. We use quadrants a lot in the business world. And it's based on things that are known by others, not known by others, known by you, and not known by you. And the 4 quadrants. And you go through this exercise, and things that are known by you and known by others, that's considered the open square. So if you think of it as a window, the window is open. And the idea is to minimize over time through self-development, coaching, minimize the things that are hidden, unknown, or blind, and maximize open, or open the window more fully. So through this activity, you are going to fill in what's known by others and known by you, what's known by others and not known by you. And that one's a tricky one, because people are like, well, how can somebody else know something and I don't know it? Well, it may be something that is a bad habit that you have. Maybe you don't realize that you constantly interrupt people, but other people realize it because they see it in every meeting. Then you have the things that are not known by others and known by you. Those are the hidden things. So there might be things that people don't know about your past, and certainly there are, because we don't know everything about everyone, that you know and other people don't know. And then there's the most difficult quadrant. Things not known by you and not known by others. So an example of this might be, you are deathly afraid to speak in front of an audience. And you know this, people around you know it because you keep refusing engagements, but you don't know why. Nobody knows why this is such a problem for you. So that would be one example. So this is a facilitated activity. It's a coached activity. And it has its pros and cons, but it really does put a spotlight on some of these hidden or blind spots. You hear people say, oh, that person has a blind spot. It really does expose some of those things so that you are more aware of what others see in you that you may not see in yourself. And they don't have to be negative things. You may not see yourself as somebody who gives positive encouragement, but other people around you are like, oh, they're always there, they're always supporting me. So it's not negatives that are in the blind and the hidden spots. They may be positives that just you don't have the self-awareness. So that's called the Johari window. And at the end of this live, I will post a link to I think it's like a 2-minute video that explains the Johari window in more details if you'd like to take a look at it. And again, online, there are all kinds of tools to do this as an automated exercise or worksheets that you can do with groups. But this one, I do recommend you have a facilitator and someone to help you through that exercise for it to be more meaningful. So that's the second one. The third one, and different people call this exercise different things, but you work with 3 people in a group. And one person is the giver or the presenter, one person is the receiver, and one person is the observer. And I like to use this exercise as a way for people to practice a conversation, usually a difficult conversation, or to practice delivering a message. Because if we're trying to change, excuse me, I'm trying not to sneeze here. If we're going to change how we show up, then we really need to understand the impact that we have on people. So what I ask people to do is write down the opening part of a conversation, prepare the opening part of a conversation, and then deliver that conversation to the receiver, to the other person. And that other person does not say a word. They're just listening, active listening to what's being said. And the observer is watching the two of them. When they're finished, the receiver says, for example, when I heard you say, fill in the blank, I felt, or it made me feel this way. It's not accusatory, it's just a statement of how the other person felt. Then the observer does the same thing. When I observed you doing or you saying XYZ, I had this impression, or this is how it made me feel. And then taking that feedback, the presenter rewrites the script, rewrites what they said, and they do it again. You may do this 3 times. And this helps you get the perceptions that other people have of the message that you're trying to deliver. Another way that you can do this to practice is if you're in a role where you send a lot of emails that to the group, to the team, to the company, where you're delivering a message. It might be about company vision, it might be about new policies, it might be about just something that happened on the team. But if you're in a position where you're sending emails to groups of people, do the same activity. Write the email and send it to someone who's not in the audience that would receive it normally. Send it to someone who has an understanding of what you're doing. If you send it to someone completely random, it won't work. But send it to someone who understands what you're doing and ask them for feedback on how they received your message. Because sometimes we think we have the best message, we've used all the right words, and we've gotten our point across, but it's not received the way we expected it to. And then we're confused. We're unsure of what just happened because it was a really great email that I wrote and I was really clear about it. And I don't understand why people are confused or why people are upset. So it's really good from time to time to do that exercise as well and find out how people are perceiving what you're saying. Now, for most of my life, I've been told I'm really good at communicating. I'm really good at writing succinct emails. I'm really good at delivering message. I am not exempt from missing the mark sometimes. So I've done all of these exercises that I've asked you to do today. I've done them with people, and sometimes you get really surprising results when you write out a message or you say a message and you think you're being really clever and you're using the best words possible to communicate your point, and then it's just not received the way you expect it to. And sometimes we think we've chosen the best phrases and the best words, and they were all the wrong ones because they came across too rehearsed or too harsh or too impersonal. So I really encourage you in the next 2 weeks to pick one of these. And if you're curious about the Johari window, watch the video. If you're curious about the list of how others perceive you, I'm happy to help you with that exercise. But do one of these and find out how other people perceive you. And I really would love to hear back from all of you on how that went. So please share either on Facebook or LinkedIn on the post for this live what happened when you tried those exercises. Now, as you can imagine, these are not random exercises that I brought up today. They are exercises that I use in my group coaching programs, some of them in the Power Up Your Team collaboration and all of them in the leadership program, because they have really valuable lessons to be learned from them. So these are not things that I just hatched up for today's live. They are things that I do with groups and we practice them and we put them into play, because I do feel very strongly that they have a purpose and they can help. So if you want to learn more about this, check out the group coaching programs that we have coming up in the new year. We'll have Power Up Your Team collaboration again, and our new program on the art of mindful leadership. And in the meantime, again, please do share the results you have from doing these exercises. If you have questions or you're not sure how to proceed with them, you all know how to reach me. I am super accessible on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And as always, follow there, because right now we are focusing on leadership. So all of our posts on those 4 different channels have something to do with leadership, collaboration, strategy, and I think will be really helpful for you as we go into a brand new year in 2021. So as always, thank you for joining me. Next week, our topic is, how does bias impact your interactions? That's going to be another good one. And then from there, we're going to talk about authentic language, and we're going to talk about pitfalls. Well, they might be pitfalls in your personality that may be holding you back. So that's what's coming up in lives 4, 5, and 6 that round out this series. But in the meantime, please stay connected on socials And I'd love to hear from you about how your experiments in this area go. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.